All right, cool. Yeah, so what I'm basically just gonna have is office hours. So you guys know office hours now. You guys have done it already once before. For the most part, reserved for time for you to ask questions. And oh, good, Alla's here. So good. She doesn't have to watch the recording. I mean, you guys can if you want. Thanks, Alla. I was literally just starting, so good timing. But basically, like right now, I'm just gonna go over the project, a little bit of some information, some stuff. For example, we have our new version 2. Kind of like it's a little. I know it's kind of. I think I've told talked to Eric about this a little bit. It's definitely more like on my side. That's kind of more worrisome, making sure all the pieces fall apart, fall in place. For you guys, I think it will be relatively simple and easy to see the transition. It just basically the biggest thing is going to be for you is just a different numbering system. So it's kind of like you're kind of gonna go through it. So one thing, just remember that one thing I'd say for this project is sections 19 and 20 are really the two big ones, and I think really 20 um, is the really big one where it's the hypothesis testing. That's going to be the big focus of this project. I know technically we have 21 and 22. I would say don't stress out about it. If you're not at 21 or 22, don't, I would say focus on the project first before trying to get into it. And the only reason why is because sections 21 and 22 don't relate to the project. And my goal for you guys really is to get this project through. And I think I've already said this a couple times to a few people, if not to everyone, is that this project in general, it's, I mean, lack of a better word, it's easier than the past project. That doesn't mean, but in this case, I would actually suggest don't take this like, oh, it's easier. I don't have to like really work very hard to get through it. I would say attack this project at full force. My, like do what you can. Obviously, I'm not saying like stay up all night trying to finish this project. Just trying to because Victor told you to. But I would say if you focus hard on this project, we could finish this within like the week kind of deal. You might have some extra time, and I think that would be a huge benefit for you guys since this is our first project week, and then next week will be project week, and then the week after that is break, and then so you guys will actually have your assessments after break to do like presentation and everything like that. Not presentation. Well, I guess non-technical presentation and regular presentations. So what I would suggest is if you can get like the project done as quickly as possible, that gives you enough time to do any catch up for sections 21, 22, or any other sections that you didn't get a chance to get into because maybe you like focus on this project first. And that way, when we come back from break, and I don't like the word break in this case, even my managers kind of said that the expectation for break is not necessarily say, oh, break mean like you're completely off. It's really meant more like you're a break from like the class. Like there's no new curriculum, there's no new things you have to go into. So it kind of lets you relax a little bit. But I think you should, I think the general idea is that you'd still be kind of doing some stuff, right? If you have to take a break, like a little vacation or whatnot, or slow down a little bit, that's perfectly fine. That'd be the perfect time to do it. But I think if you go into break saying, okay, I'm going to finish, these sections while we're going in. We start July 8th after that break, and we'll go into a new module. You'll be ready and you'll be ready to get that new material in without having to worry about catch up. Okay. Does that sound good to you guys? You guys have any questions or any concerns? Anything that kind of pops in your mind right now about that? No? Okay, cool. So I'll go ahead and share my screen a little bit. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to show you guys, since we have our new version 2 curriculum, this is going to be a little different from, hold on, my windows always move around when I share my screen. Okay. It's going to be a little different from how it's been structured before. So I think right now, yeah, good. So right now you guys should see something like this, where you have your module 1, all the stuff here. You'll see module 2 up to section 22. So really, like I said, section 20 and 19 are really the two big sections you want to make sure you know. We also will be doing SQL alchemy, which I believe is right here, section 15. Yeah. So really, section 15, 19, and 20 are really the big pieces of this project. So just be aware of this. So note that this says version 1.1, and you can even see it in the URL up here. So I'm going to show you now how to find the project. Now, technically, like I launched the project here so that way you guys could at least see it. But note that this is not the one that you should reference. It's essentially the same exact project as what we'll see as Module 3 project. But I just wanted to let you guys know that is that in order to access the new version, what you'll do is you click up here on Switch Materials. And note when you click Switch Materials, you'll see like only 3 things. For me, I have a lot of different cohort stuff. So there's a long list of stuff for me to show. But if you go to, like I said, just go back to Switch Materials up here. So you just kind of re-emphasizing here, Switch Materials. And then what you'll do, there's only going to be 3 parts. The one that's highlighted right now should be online, data science for version 1.1. You'll look for version 2, okay? And yours will say online DS PTO 3. So hopefully, have you guys all seen this yet? Have you guys tried looking for this at all yet? No, okay. I see some head shakes and stuff. So that's okay. So just know that you can basically go to here and what's it called? You can go here and you click on this and you'll see it little load up and you'll see it kind of refresh and you'll know you're in version 2 by looking at that URL. You'll see it says, okay, V2. Okay, and that's how you know you're in version 2. And now if I go click on curriculum, you'll see that there is no module 1, there's no module 2, there's just module 3. And right now I just launched out the project. That way you guys aren't confused about like what was material you had to know, what you didn't have to know. Later on, I'll after the project, I'll probably populate that back up so you can see all the different information in there. But I just wanted to at least make it easy for you guys to find the project. So in here, you can then find the project, click on here like you normally would, and go into that project and see what that is. But before I kind of show you what the project looks like, I just wanted to show you real quickly, I added a couple things on the Learn dashboard. So if you scroll down, and this is true for version 2 or version 1, no matter what you're on, if you scroll to the bottom, you guys already know your how to find your schedule here. Again, the break should be in here, as well as the new module 3. This is module 3 project. I know it's kind of confusing because we just finished module 2, but we're calling it module 3 project. That's due on the 8th, which means is that this 8th through the 12th will be our assessment. And then if for some reason that doesn't work out, you're not quite done with the project, or you need to do a reassessment, we have the 15th through the 19th for it to actually be done. So just know that this is when you'll do your project assessments on this week. And then we'll start back up with new curriculum on this week as well for a new module. Okay, so but I want to show you down here is I added a couple things down here. You guys already know the recordings, the connection, you know, resources, all that stuff. I added this module projects and module 3. So I'll show you what this is in a second, but the module projects right here, basically I've made that little Google sheet for us so that when we actually go here, we can basically, you can add in any topics or anything you want to talk about during office hours. So this is really helpful for me because then if there's something in particular that you guys want to know, you can basically just add it on here and say, oh, can you talk about this, or can you focus on this specific thing? And that way I'm ready for, you know, our office hours. I can talk about that and make sure, you know, maybe I can give you resources around that specific topic. Okay, so just know that it's at the bottom of here, module projects, office hour discussions, okay? And then you'll see here, I also put the demo. So I know Adam said he had gone. I don't know if anyone else had gone. I know Eric hasn't gone. Ala, I don't know if you attended the demo on Monday or if you were able to. But in case you didn't, or if you want to review it, I basically put the YouTube link right here, the demo from that part-time cohort that they can kind of, you can see what that module project looked like. I think it might not actually be part-time, I can't remember now, but basically, you know, you can reference it right here. And then finally, we have the module 3 project, which I'll go over that too. This will basically be how I'm grading, like quote unquote, grading you for the project assessment. So basically try to like, essentially you're trying to make sure you check all the boxes within this project. And I'll show that in a second. So any questions on like what this stuff is? No? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Okay, cool. So if I go here, and I go to module 3 project, and I'll close this guy right here, okay? You'll see, and I'll load up in a second, is the actual description of the project, just like in module 1. And so just to kind of show you a little bit, basically the main thing about this is that you're gonna be taking a database, a SQL database, okay, which is provided for you if I go into the GitHub now. if you go into GitHub, you'll see that there's a bunch of files. Where is it? SQLite, there it is. So this is the database that you'll actually be using, okay? And so you basically will take this database, which is, I believe this is the schema right here, and you can probably zoom that in. I think in the curriculum, here's probably this one right here. There you go. So you can see right here, this is the actual schema going on. So you can basically use this to help navigate through the database using SQL Alchemy, right? So you do that part. So we have our data, and basically it's a bunch of information about, like, I believe, I'm trying to remember exactly specifically. It's like orders. There it is, yeah, order, product number, suppliers. And what your goal basically will be actually asking a question, basically getting analytical insights. So basically you're going to be doing some hypothesis testing, okay? And so the main question that we want to make sure you can answer is, does discount amount have statistical significant effect on the quantity of an object in an order? If so, at what levels of discount? So this basically, you're going to explore the database and say, all right, statistically significant. Remember that basically means that we're talking about, like when you're using p-value, you're using your t-test, you're doing your hypothesis testing in this case, okay? So say, does it have an effect on the quantity of product orders? So basically, if I give a discount, will I sell more product? If I give a discount, will I also give less product? Those are both effects, right? And then saying what level of discount it is too. So this will be a mix of a little bit of exploration, but it shouldn't take you don't have to do any cleaning data like you did in project 1. You don't have to do anything too crazy or anything like that. And then there's an addition to this part, because as you probably can guess, this is pretty quick of a thing once you get your data in there. We want you to ask like 3 other questions that you will test on your own. And when I say 3 questions, like 3 hypotheses, right? So think of it as something that's important for the company. So you can decide what that is. But think of, like, if I was the company, what are things that I would be interested in looking at my specific data set here, or not data set, our database, okay? And say, what things would they be interested in? And, if you're having trouble, you feel free to reach out and everything like that. But the idea here is that you're asking 3 questions that you can then test in some statistical tests, whether that's a hypothesis test or something else. Okay, cool. And then, like it says, it's just giving some more information, like, for this hypothesis, be sure to specify null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. That's just part of your hypothesis testing. And then also, this is important too, make sure you declare if it's 1 tail or 2 tail. Okay, so pretty typical stuff. This is all within, I believe, section 20 for the most part. And then the SQL stuff's really in section 15 with SQL Alchemy, right? And then note, however, I did notice there's a weird thing. There just might be a correction, but note that this is deliverables, like things like your Jupyter notebook, a blog post explaining a process, methodology, and findings. Basically, kind of similar to like the first project, is having a blog post that explains one aspect of what you're doing. So that could be talking about SQL Alchemy with Python. You'd be talking about hypothesis testing or a hypothesis that you were doing specifically. You can focus on one of those parts, making a blog post on that, okay? And then also, this is an executive summary. Think of your non-technical presentation, basically. Explains your hypothesis you ran, your findings, and why it's relevant to the company, okay? So I think, again, you're talking to business stakeholders. You're basically saying, what hypothesis you test. Like, oh, I ran a 2-tail t-test to see if the effect of discounts, if discounts affected the sale of price, or like how much product we sold, okay? And saying, like, was it significant? And say, why is this important? It's like, we found that these are significant because of these reasons. You can maybe possibly do these kind of things. That's the kind of stuff. So again, another PowerPoint presentation. And again, this should be about like 5 minutes. It's not a long presentation, okay? And then, of course, there's some extra information about making sure your Jupyter notebook, always having clean code, making it easy to read through. This will probably be a lot easier to structure than our first project, because there's less cleaning code or cleaning data and all this stuff. Note that if you write any SQL code, make sure you make sure that's included in some form. So if you have, for example, using the SQL code separately, in some way, you can do that. But for the most part, I think you'll be writing your SQL code directly in your notebook. Okay, cool. So that's your notebook. we'll make sure I'm covering everything that's on there. Of course, you guys will read this yourself too. So make sure you describe when you're talking about like the markdown, saying which hypothesis your tests are doing. Is it one tail, two tail? Are you doing a z-test versus a t-test? Like these are things that you should kind of keep in mind. And then also saying your p-values, like what are your p-values, and what you decided was a significant value, okay? Because your significant value could be 0.01, your significant value can be 0.05. It can be between a two test and a two tail or one tail. Might split up your p-value or your significant value differently, okay? And then also any other statistics, for example, effect size. So that's also covered within, I believe, section 22 of saying how what's the huge effect of the actual statistic. So remember, our hypothesis only says, is it significant or not? Okay, but there's also saying effect size, saying like, well, how much of an effect was it? That's a different kind of test, okay, or other statistic. Blog post, this is kind of like the same thing, but basically you can talk about, for example, how you can get information, how you should using SQL. So remember, it's a technical blog post. So if you can imagine like you're explaining this to another student, so anything like that, or you can say talk about any challenges. Think of it like you're trying to explain something to someone else, okay? And then this is just executive summary is your presentation, right? So I'm not strict on the slides. Basically, the main idea is that it should be at least 5 minutes, but make sure you're including these parts. Make sure you don't get too technical jargon. If you do have to say something, you know, just make it really clear. You're not teaching them, but you should let them know what they care about, but you should also let them kind of know what kind of things you did to make your results valid, or that the results you're explaining are in fact valid. Okay. Any questions on this general part of the project? Any questions? Any concerns? Excuse me. Okay, cool. Excuse me. So one thing I wanted to show again was in that learn.co, the dashboard, there's the rubric. So if I go into here in the rubric, you actually will see there is a PDF, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. This is the rubric generally I'm going to basically go off of. And essentially, I just know that, for example, this first part is for your technical notebook, basically making sure you cover these parts. You can see here, essentially, I want you to fill into this accomplished part. That's for me to check off your assessment. But remember, your project also is partly for your portfolio. So doing these extra factors too can really be helpful. Of course, also doing your assessment, if you feel like you got this part, but then later on you're like, you know what, I think I could probably add some extra flair to it. You can look at these like X factor parts of the rubric to kind of add on top of your project itself, okay? And then after your technical notebook, I'm sorry, I realized this is a repeat. This must be a typo right here. Oh no, wait, what? Okay, this might be a typo I might have to fix. I'm not sure why this is repeating over here. But your non-technical piece, just making sure you're not getting too technical. Like if there is something that you say, make sure it's really clear. One thing I say, your slide quality, that's the biggest thing I've noticed for the most people, is that sometimes you'll have visualizations that are way too complicated, or you'll, like I like to say, is that you're presenting it to a high schooler, like someone who's familiar with that kind of high school math, okay? That's the kind of level that you'd want to kind of be gearing towards, okay? And then just general, this is stuff. Make sure your recommendations are clear. So you say, these are my recommendations based on my results. And then also future work, always have future work. This, I would also even include this, I don't know if it's actually in the rubric, but I would even include it on the main notebook, on the technical notebook. It's saying what things you might look into the future. Would you get more data? You know, what other things could you explore? That kind of stuff. So always include this part. And then of course a thank you slide, which seems like a really small thing, but it does kind of, it comes across really nicely when you actually do a presentation. To just actually say, you know, thank you for your time. Any questions and whatnot. All right. So cool. Any questions on this rubric? Anything that you guys stand out or anything like this? Hopefully this will also help you. I don't think we had a rubric for the last module 1 project. Is that right? Yeah, you guys don't remember seeing this, right? Okay, yeah, because this is relatively new, so know that there might be some a little bit stuff in here. For example, I'm pretty sure, I think this is not supposed to be in here. This, yeah, this part right here should not be part of this. I don't know why it got printed out this way, but just know if there's something that's kind of like unclear or you're not really sure, or it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense, just let me know and I can double check to make sure if it's supposed to be in there or if it needs to be taken out. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's the project. This is project rubric and everything. Sound good to you guys? Thumbs up, you know? Yeah, cool. All right, and then
For the rubric,
oh,
if it's like if you get developing, is that kind of like you're going to be redoing it, or like not necessarily?
not necessarily. I would say if just because you have one of these things as developing, I wouldn't say, oh, you're gonna have to redo it. I might do something like, it's like, you know, you did really well, except in this one area. For example, let's just say like when you describe the data, there was no visualizations of like describing your data. I'm like, I'm gonna pass you, but I would strongly recommend for your portfolio to go ahead and change that up for yourself. And so that way it's when anyone else looks at it, they know what to do. If it's something more major, I might say, you know, it looks really good, but I want you to reassess and maybe go back to this and we'll do another reassessment kind of deal. And that's for the most part, that's only if there's something really major that's missing from it. So to avoid those kind of things, be in communication with me. You know, tell me how you're doing. You know, for example, keep up with our one-on-ones for this week and next week. And then I honestly, like, I know right now Slack's been kind of quiet, you know, like that's happens and everything like that. I know also we lost, like not lost, but like our cohorts kind of dwindled down a little bit too. So just kind of be, I would say like you guys are welcome. Like I don't feel weird like if you guys want to share your guys' information, like in the sense like how you guys are doing things or how you're approaching things, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that as like I think sometimes people feel like that's like quote unquote cheating or something like that. As long as you're not copying, you're doing your own work, but you're discussing it and stuff like that, I'm perfectly fine with you even sharing directly your repos and say, hey, you know, this is what I did. What did you guys do? And then working with each other. Because in the end of the day, it's not about, you know, like, oh, did you do this all completely within your vacuum? You know, it's like, can you do this? And also, you know, ways you can improve it because we can always improve. Okay. So hopefully that kind of good. All right. So hopefully that kind of makes you guys get an idea of where we're at and what we can do. Right. So yeah. Any other things you guys ask? Any concerns? Cool. All right. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing this then. And I guess I'll go ahead and stop the recording too.